Hi, my name is Brandy Richard Thompson, and I am the chair of the San Francisco Federal Executive Board Public Affairs Council. And I am joined today by Nicole Wood, who is the deputy director of the DHS Center for Faith Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. And we are thrilled to have her today as we talk about high touch relationships and really being able to develop trust with the partners that we in government want to bring on board. And so Nicole is expert at this. She's been doing it for an extremely long time. Not only that, but doing it at an exceptional level where her partners and those who work with her, trust her judgment, and trust that she will have their best interests at heart as she shares government programs and things with them. So, welcome, Nicole. We are so happy to have you today.
And thank you, Brandy. I'm so grateful to be with you and for extending the opportunity to stand alongside you on this platform this morning.
Awesome. So, this is what we're calling the Public Affairs Convo. These are informal conversations with folks who really do the work. And so, Nicole is our first. And so, we'll start with just tell us a little bit about how you became involved in building partnerships for the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA. And why do you do it in the first place?
That's an excellent question, Brandy. Um, well, let me just step back a little bit. Prior to working within the Department of Homeland Security's Center for Faith Based and Neighborhood Partnerships, and of course, that is a mouthful, indeed. Um, I served with an international non-governmental organization, and in this role, I was there supporting persons who had been exploited, both sexually and through labor practices, with limited resources. And these persons were often underserved. Partnering with faith and community partners is what made what we do effective.
Mm.
We could better serve community when we were working in partnership, and particularly those greatest in need. So, what I had to do is kind of transition some of those skills as a director of this agency here to the DHS Center. Um, Almost 11 years as of this April. So it's been a long time. And speaking of 11, there are 11 partnerships, centers of the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. And the DHS Center supports the White House by implementing and coordinating um, through the Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, as you mentioned, FEMA, in support of faith and community groups. And what we do is really kind of focus on all hazards, right? So natural and human caused incidences. We even look at climate resilience and emergency and disaster response and recovery. We even look at protecting places of worship through safety and security, and even countering human trafficking, as I mentioned before. So doing a lot of work, but this is really kind of how I got here.
That's amazing. That's amazing work that you do. And to know that working with faith and community based organizations really made your work happen, was able to get your work out there into the community, I think is hugely important, and why people need this conversation because they're going to have to do similar things. So you did not answer why you do this work though, and I'm curious to learn that.
Well, Brandy, I appreciate you asking it because why is important. Why should be important of why we all do our work, right?
Mhm.
And my why is really rooted and held in my beliefs. The reality is, my faith drives my why.
Mhm.
My belief is it really is important when we talk about loving thy neighbor as thyself. It is a really deep felt feeling of embracing the fullness of one's life. In some ways, it's like seeing and valuing all of me as much as I see and value all of you. It's affirming my intersectionality as much as I affirm that in you, Brandy. It's kind of like holding up all of our joys as much as all of our pain, which we know leads to empathy, because we can't love someone's rhythm and not their blues. In addition, it's the feeling of connection and belonging is my why.
Mhm.
It's important to me to have long lasting relationships, even to ask questions of curiosity. And of course, we know that hopefully culturally appropriate can really make the difference in how we connect with one another. Calling someone just because you are thinking about them is really an act of us giving someone a small dose of joy, a sense of belonging. Sometimes it's not these kind of big, grandiose acts of accomplishments that we all think we need to do professionally that creates high touch relationships. It's really about those long term connections that you're making with each other. The reality is, we're kind of created for relationships. And many of those relationships, hey, are partnerships. And it's why that I value the meaning of the experience of being in partnership, right? We can help resolve some of the most complex problems in today's society for people who are hurting from sometimes their worst days. And
I
this
love
is why I do what I do.
I love it. I love it. Come on, do what you do. So that leads me to the next question, because I know this is a passion for you, but what does high touch mean to you?
you know, yeah, you make an important point. High touch is really part of kind of relationship building, which leads to partnerships. But sometimes what we often overlook is that we can be so focused on building relationships, just could be personally, professionally, or even relationally, and not be clear on who we are in those relationships. We can sit in that for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Because Brandy, it's a real challenge to have long standing, fruitful, high touch partnerships until you're in touch with yourself. Knowing what matters to you, you reflect what you are. There are sometimes you have to make work. You can't make work sometimes happen in partnerships. You might try, yet you will fall short. When I engage with partnerships in high touch relationships, I always seek a connection right away. It's something I call common ground. Or I also refer, for me personally, what's my common denominator? Especially somebody who I know I am completely different. And we know that we can't agree upon all things. But if we can focus on certain things that we do have in common, is what's important. But it's good to know, what shared beliefs do we have? What common interests do we do? Who are we seeking to serve? Maybe we're just so different. But let's focus on the people, right? Sometimes it's just like we're going to focus on who we're serving because the common denominator is really thin. But focusing on those who you're serving and how this relationship is seeking to do the most good in partnership should be the key. So it's not about an agenda, about where you want to go. You want to make the needs and successes of others more important than your desired outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And the key is, and this is my little secret to you, when you do it, it will result in long standing partnerships and relationships.
There's so much of that that's just either you have it or you don't, right?
Really?
But it's also a skill. And I think the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is so that people would start to understand how to identify others with that skill set if they're hiring for those kinds of positions, but also how to determine whether or not you have it, right? To be
That's right.
able to develop these partnerships.
That's
So
right.
thank you for that. So, describe an engagement that you are proud of and how it benefited the organization and the partner. Because I want to make this real clear to people, like how you went through doing that.
Well, I appreciate you asking that. And I know you said one, so I'll get three quick ones.
I'm here for it.
All right, but they're going to be quick. We're going to be quick about it because we
Okay.
can't be here all day together. But wish we could. First, I would say it was back in 2017 during Hurricane Maria. This was in Puerto Rico. I had a faith leader in DC contact us and say, "We want to do our part. Where do we start?" And because of our long lasting relationship with the National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disasters, we were able to connect with one of those organizations and a local pastor in Puerto Rico who had no water, no resources, no food. And because of that relationship, the faith community built a water source that's now even being used by the firefighters in the community.
Hmm.
It's something to be said, forgive me for pausing. Mother Teresa said, don't worry about the numbers, but always start with the one in front of you. And this is just such an example of that. It was a horrific event of Hurricane Maria and the impact it played on so many people's lives, lost lives. But this one faith community decided to choose one community they wanted to serve.
Hmm.
And the impact it's now playing throughout the community. That's just one. Second, 2022, just last year, the horrific impacts of the top supermarket mass shooting in Buffalo, New York. It was really an opportunity where we could connect national organizations who were culturally competent in mental health services, one of which was the All Healers Mental Health Alliance, who brought their resources to bear to communities who were hurting. This is not just a short-term response, but they were invested in community. And then we had other national partners who brought in food and school supply because Top Supermarket is one of the few places people could go to get most of what they needed. Most of us will commonly know it as like a Walmart or a Target. That's somewhat what their supermarket was for them. It was where you went for all your supplies, your every need. And again, able to bring those resources to bear, not just the tangible things people need, but the emotional support they needed. So again, incredible opportunity when you could do that. And another I just will highlight very quickly, in the height of COVID, because we are still in COVID, it was in 2021. One of our partners from Taiwan, who has an office in California, the Buddha Suchi, they contacted us saying, we need help and we need resources. We need personal protective equipment, and we need vaccines. And because, as I mentioned before, we're one of 11 partnership centers, we contacted our U.S. aid agency and able to make those connections and sort of that could get the resources they need. So again, just want to highlight just a couple of ways in which these long-term relationships that we had, they could just pick up the phone and say, hey, we're in need. Can you help us? And nurturing those other relationships that we could do the same in connecting the two to help impact community. So just want to share a couple.
I love that. And I love the fact that you talk about dealing with the person or the problem that is in front of you. Because so many times we are looking to create wide sweeping change in a lot of different areas or for all of the people who are dealing with something. And sometimes you just have to start with what's in front of you and who's come to you and asked you for assistance and then build on that success to move forward. So I love those examples. Thank you for giving three instead of one. I love it. So, what are some common themes, threads that each partner has desired from you as an agency representative?
Brandy, that's a really important question. And if I would sum it up with three words or at least to begin. The power of presence. The power of presence is the best gift you can give to a partner. People want to be seen. People want to be heard, and they equally want to have equal access to information and resources. It's something about being present with people in their given circumstance. We can sometimes miss opportunities to make true connection with people. We can sometimes miss opportunities because we kind of rush throughout our day, not fully grasping how we're impacting lives, and find ourselves often forgetting to pause and reflect. How am I impacting others? I
I think.
truly think sometimes in relationships, I'm sorry, Brandy, but it's just to mention this really quickly, is that when you grow your relationships, it is about listening. And it's about listening some more, right? We're so quick to take action, and we got to listen. Nothing is more disappointing to any person, and I'm sure we all can relate with this, when you have to repeat what you already communicated. So here's my another takeaway. Take notes, right? Take notes. Record it if you have to, because it's important to value what people are sharing with you in that specific point in time. And always remember that partnerships are this kind of two-way dialogue. Offer them your resources you can support folks. Be prepared to define maybe 3 things you can offer a person and have them give you 3 back, just the same. And lastly, make a plan. Plan how you'll work together. Make it obtainable and realistic. These are, to me, are the themes that I often hear that people really desiring. They may not always articulate it, but it's what they're really desiring.
I think that's great because you're talking about what you've seen that people need, and sometimes what you know that they need is not what they've said.
That's right.
I think that's really powerful because sometimes we expect others to be so clear about everything it is that they want. And sometimes all they want us to do is just show up and be
That's right.
present. It's amazing. It's amazing. Really important. Um, so, who are the best people? Because a lot of times, as organizations, we have our leadership talk to other leaders. We have, communicators talk to communicators sometimes. But who are the best roles to engage when you want to build successful partnerships within other organizations? Or does it even matter?
Brandy, it actually does matter. And depending on where you are in that conversation and point person, but I will just share this. When you engage with any partner, it's important if you're engaging with a decision maker. That to me would probably be one of the most important things. It may not be the CEO or president or even faith or community leader. But the key point is that the person is able to make a decision on behalf of an organization. That's important. And yet, in the same breath, while working in a local community, it's a little different, at least for me. I tend to always seek and to connect with something we call the gatekeeper. This may or may not be the mayor. It may not be the council member. It may be a member of a civic organization. It could be a faith leader, a community leader, or someone who I sometimes call Miss Mary or Miss Maria. It's that person, or he or she is active person in that community and knows just about every single thing going on. And I'm sure we all can relate with someone like that in our communities. And they're often overlooked.
Mhm.
So again, depending on your context, if it's a national scope, yes, you want a decision maker. as high as you can get if you don't have the CEO or president. But certainly at the local level, be mindful of those community members who are actively engaged in their community, who you want to make sure you better partner with.
Yeah, because if you don't, Miss Mary gonna talk about you
That's
and tell
right.
everybody.
That's right. Yeah, Miss Mary. It's funny you should say that, Brandy, because Miss Mary will inform everyone else. And then you wonder why you can't get the information you need.
Hmm.
And you wonder why you're not getting any actions done. Why are people not getting the messages that you're putting forward? You're trying to communicate with the community and it's not penetrating. Why? Because Miss Mary or Miss Maria have decided, like, oh, no, no, no. You didn't come to me first, right?
You snubbed me.
That's right. That's right. This is real talk, guys. This is real talk.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
important, again, we value the voice of every person in the community, title or no title, decision maker or no decision maker. It is important to value every voice because you might miss something crucial. How often do we overlook people who serve in the many of our buildings that we work in, who clean the floors, clean the toilets every day? But my gosh, if they are the most knowledgeable persons about what's going on in your agency, you'd be surprised. So again, value every voice, value every person, but again, depending on the level in which you're engaged.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A huge important point. Which leads me to the question of, when you go to Miss Mary or Miss Maria, what does it take to build trusted connections with partners?
Excellent, Brandy. Well, this is where folks can bring out their pen and pad if they want, because I'm going to give you 7. I'm giving you 7. This is my giveaway. All right. Here we go. Number 1, I want you to always to assume good intentions in your partner. Don't jump to conclusions about the other person's actions, thoughts, beliefs, or even go immediately to a place of fear or distrust. Always start and assume good intention. That's your number 1 when you want to build trust. Number 2, I'm going to move a little quicker. You want to create a safe base for trust to grow. Sometimes you can't meet in a cafe where everybody's around and into your conversation. It might mean a walk in the park. It might be walk in the neighborhood or wherever it might be. So you're building space where you can have your trust grow. Number 3, be transparent, authentic, and clear. There's some things you don't need to fake, and not when you're trying to build a relationship. Just be honest, right? It's important to know where your knowledge runs short. You don't have to have every answer, but it's important that you're transparent about that and you're clear about what you do know and your limitations. Number 4, make hard conversations the norm. Wow.
Oh,
Right? That sounds monumental, right, in this time and age, but we need to make hard conversations the norm. Don't shy away from speaking truth. Speak the truth, but do it in love. Number 5, allow mistakes to build trust and be honest about them. It's something about acknowledging your vulnerabilities or when you're wrong, what it does to the relationship. It makes you more human centered and also builds a sense of humility within yourself, right? Number 6, watch your body language. As you can see, I'm a very theatrical person when I speak, and I have to watch it sometimes, right? I have to watch my tone, my tenor, and my posture. And if I would give you a 6.1, I call this my bonus that I tell my children. Ask yourself, Is it kind? Is it truthful? And is it necessary? And if all, it has to be all three, not two, all three. And if it's all three, it's okay to communicate. So I'll give that as my bonus. But to number 7, since I said 7, I think it goes back to what I talked about earlier. You have to trust yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to know your limitations. You gotta know your boundaries. And you have to know yourself at every part of the process. Always ask yourself, what problem are you solving? How do you help them be successful? In what ways are you denying your outcome and affirming that of the person? And do you truly care about their well being? Or do you more care about what you want to achieve? So keep all that in mind.
You are giving like a master class in partnerships here today. I appreciate you. Deputy Director Wood, I really do. Oh wow. So you've laid the foundation for building the partnerships. You've done the work, you've mastered these steps. How do you successfully maintain those trusted connections with partners?
Brandy, you asked a really important question. And I'm going to actually shift this a little bit and talk about business marketing. In the field of marketing, there is actually something called high touch and low touch marketing, which actually directly correlates with partnerships. So, something to take note from the business community. By contrast, high touch marketing targets a handful of carefully selected partners with each piece of messaging you create. So the bottom line is quality over quantity. You know who you want to make impact with, and you target that group. You ensure you get the right information to a select group of people to make the greatest impact. And you're being intentional with your relationships. You're honoring their needs versus trying to help and support the masses. And you have to decide what is important and where to target. Now, in contrast, low touch marketing in business is similar also to partnerships, where you could take the approach, if you will, of spraying advertisements with email blasts, which we all do, all over the internet, until your partners are blue in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take that approach because it's about a numbers game. And we know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially the pattern of low touch marketing reduces the partner's relationship down to this anonymous catch all messaging. It's interesting that in business, customers will stick with your company if you show them that you care about them. It's what we call brand loyalty. Some folks are masterminds, and I'm sure you could think of a few in your brain right now who have got you, have just you, your credit card is connected to their website, right? Amazon, hello. Brand loyalty. And you can only get to that point if you have strong communication with your customers and show you care. So high touch marketing requires thoughtful, targeted messaging aimed squarely at the person you're serving. And not just any old customer, but customers you feel connection. You feel a strong connection with, and in return, who feels a connection with your company. So high touch marketing is about quality over quantity, and it's about relationship building. Now let me connect all this together, because that's a lot of talk. When we're here in federal services, me in federal service, well, Brandy and I are serving in federal service. When we talk about high touch relationships or partnerships, there needs to be an intentional pattern of staying connected with your partners. Not just when you want something. It can be that the community has been impacted by a circumstance and you reach on call and say, "Are you okay?" Or do what we commonly do on LinkedIn, congratulate them on any major accomplishment. Just because. There is a rhythmic way to stay connected in the meantime when you have no agenda. That makes sense? Awesome.
Wow. I'm so impressed. Because you brought it all the way back around to communications by talking about marketing and some of the methods that we use as federal communicators to get our messages across. And while some of those low touch marketing methods are successful in telling people about registration or applying for some types of programs, etc., it is not necessarily going to reach the audience that you're trying to cultivate a trusted relationship with. And that you have to develop these more detailed and intimate, trusting conversations with at a high level. And what you mentioned about determining which groups you want to reach out to, I think is extremely important because you can't touch all of them at once. Not with that specific information that they need to know that they can trust you. So yes, I love and appreciate the responses. It's been extremely, extremely helpful.
And to
Um,
your point, and I was going to say, Brandy, you're right. I think sometimes we can be so consumed with trying to help everybody because it seems ideal that we should do that. But we also have to recognize our limitations and what we can do.
mhm,
So starting at where you can make impact. And again, we're going back to Mother Teresa. We got to start with the one. Who's
mhm.
the one? And let that multiply itself. And so again, to your point is that we can be, I think you have to be very targeted in how you connect with people in your partnerships, but you also want to be genuine. So it really is a balance of the two.
I love it. I love it. So to wrap this up and to help people who are just starting to do this work, I know all across government, many of us are being tasked with really creating trusted relationships with partners. So for those who are just beginning to start the work, what would you tell them about building trusted partnerships?
Excellent. Well, I'm going to leave you with three things. You want to involve, you want to collaborate, and you want to empower. Let me break them all down. You want to first involve. Clearly, if you want to have a partnership, it's beyond yourself, right? So let's start with the basic step one. We got to take the first step, right? How are you going to work directly with persons you're serving to ensure that their public concern and aspirations are consistently understood and considered? It is so important to start there. What do they care about? What matters? And what is their why? Always keep that first and forefront. Number two, collaborate. Again, the importance of maintaining this two-way dialogue. Make sure that the partner is part of every aspect of decision making. That includes developing alternatives or identifying others' preferred solutions. It's okay if something doesn't work out. Try something new. What works for them to be successful? In collaboration, always make the other person's success your first priority. And number three, empower. And I know we use empower a lot, but this is what I mean when I say empower. Place final decision making in the plans of the people you're serving. Don't let you be the final decision maker, because people can't sustain themselves. God forbid you get another job. What are they going to do? So it's important that they see within themselves what are the decisions they need to be successful. You can guide them, provide them tools, resources, technical assistance along the way, or even coach them. But there has to be a place where you allow them to do the decision making. Again, using multiple forms of communication. So again, I want you to involve them. I want you to collaborate with them in their decision making and empower them, making sure that they have the tools they need to be successful with or without you. Because we remember, it's not about us. It's about making sure their needs are being served. And oftentimes, we've accomplished our goals by doing that, because you build a trust that you can then pick up the phone at any time when you do have a big ass, because you first focused on their success. So I'll pause there.
I love that. I love that. I'm not even going to recap that because that was just beautiful. And I think that's where we should end. I just appreciate you so much for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule of partnering at a high level with people to join us at the San Francisco Federal Executive Board with our Public Affairs Council and with all of the public affairs and communicator people in the Bay Area, just to share with us how we can get better at our partnerships. Thank you so much, Nicole Wood, for joining us today.
And thank you, Brandy Richard Thompson, for extending the invitation. Grateful to share this platform with you, and look forward to us partnering again.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you all later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.